NextPLEASE supports sub-object selections in some of the geometry object types automatically. For example, if we create a teapot and collapse to editable poly, for example, we can select a vertex and then use the left and right arrow keys to navigate through the vertices, cycle through all the vertices, and if we reach the first vertex, it jumps back to the end, and the other way around. Same applies to edges. We can select an edge and then move through all the edges, or we can select a number of edges and then pressing the button starts with one of the selected edges. In polygon mode, we can move between all the polygons, and in element mode we can quickly switch between the elements. Same applies to editable mesh, where we can cycle between the elements, the polygons. The invisible edges between two faces are being ignored automatically. We can also switch to face mode and go by triangle, or cycle through all the visible and invisible edges in the editable mesh, and of course between the vertices. Some of the modifiers like mesh select and edit mesh are partially supported. If we select a vertex, everything works great, and same applies to edges and faces. But polygon mode, for example, is not being supported as in the base editable mesh object. It still does face selection, and same applies to element selection. In element sub-object mode, inside the modifier, NextPLEASE doesn't support the corresponding mode because MaxScript doesn't have complete access to the data within the modifier. We can also navigate within editable splines. For example, if we create a spline with lots of knots and then clone that spline multiple times within the spline shape, we can select a vertex and cycle between all the vertices, but only between the connected vertices within a single spline in the shape. In order to go to another level, we have to actually select a vertex from that level. And the same can be said about the segments. If we select a segment of the first shape, we're not going to move up to another one, and we can manually select a segment within that spline that we want to navigate through. If we would switch to the third sub-object mode, the spline mode, we can use the left and right arrow keys to switch between the splines.